devastated, and after that, Kulus Orhan arrived with the promise of showing the next transformation, the period where a principality began to feel the weight of empire. That is why this new is emotional. It is not only about one session ending, it feels like the closing of a long era that began a year ago and become part of people's weekly routine. The latest situation in this ATV is still promoting new episode with episode 23 connected to May 6, 2026, but several Turkish entertainment outlets are reporting that the series is planned to end at episode 26 if there is no last-minute change. This means the story now appears to be entering its final stretch, and if these reports prove fully accurate, then the remaining episodes will not just be normal episodes, they will become the final battlefield for Orhan Bey's emotional journey, political rise, family tensions, love, conflicts, and unfinished state building mission. This is where the situation become very interesting. Kurulus Orhan began with a major transition. Burj Osman era had already ended and Mert stepped into the control role as Orhan Bey. That change alone was enough to divide the audience. Some fans were expected to see a new face, a new energy, and a young ruler story. Others still felt deeply attached to Osman Bey, powerful represent, and wonder whether Hulus Orhan could carry the same emotional weight. The series did not just have to tell a new story, it had to convince viewers that the legacy was safe in new hands, and this is always the hardest challenge for a sequel. When a series follows a beloved historical epic, it cannot survive only on costumes, battle, horses, places, and speeches. It needs emotional ownership. The audience must feel that the new hero is not replacing the old one but carrying the burden forward. Orhan Bey's story had that potential, historical and dramatically. Orhan is not a small character, he represents the stage where the dream becomes administration, where construction becomes responsibility, and where the son of Osman must prove that he is more than the child of a legend. But television is not only about history, television is about audience connecting, timing, competition, pacing, reacting, and emotional rhythm. And that may be where Kulus Orhan forced its biggest challenge. The audience had already spent years with Osman Bey. They had seen him suffer, rise, lose, win, and mature. Then suddenly a new title, a new central figure, and a new emotional structure appeared. Even if the production was larger and the cast was strong, the audience needed time to emotionally transform loyalty from one generation to the next. The reported final decision has now created a strong mood around the show. One side, fans are disappointed because they wanted to see more of Orhan Bey ring. On the other side, male viewers are now paying closer attention because a final episode always creates a when a show is near its end, every scene becomes more important. Every dialogue feels like a maybe getting up. A final message. Every betrayal, marriage, alliances, and sacrifice suddenly matter more because there is less time left to complete the story. And that is why the coming episodes are important. Kulus Orhan now has to do in a new episode what may viewers accepted it to do across a long season or even multiple seasons. If it has to give Orhan Bey a satisfying emotional arc. It has to honor Osman Bey's legacy. It has to give space to Nilüfer Haunt, Ersporka Orhan Haunt, Aladdin Bey and another major character. It has to show the pressure of Bursa, the Byzantine question, palace tension, tribal loyalty, and the birth of a stronger state structure. Most importantly, it has to leave the audience with the feeling that the journey meant something. Why Krulus Orhan had a difficult mission from the beginning. Krulus Orhan was never entering an empty battlefield. It entered a field already filled with expectation, memories, comparison, and emotional baggage. This is the first thing viewers must understand before judging the shows too quickly. A normal news series only has introduced much in characters and win the audience, but Cruz Orhan had to do something much harder. It had to continue a world that fan already knew while also changing enough to few knew. That is a very dangerous balance. If the show stayed too close to Krulus Osman, people would say it had too new identity. If it moved too far away, people would say it has abandoned the spirit of the original story. If Orhan Bey behaved too much like Usman Bey, people would call him a copy. If he behaved too differently, people would say he lacked the first of his father. This is why the series entrapped between respect and revelation. From the very first episode, Mert casting or Osman Bey was one of the boldest decisions of the new era. The show ended someone who could bring youth, intensity, and emotional conflict to the role. Orhan Bey could not simply be shown as a warrior shouting order on horseback. His story required a different kind of strength. He had to carry the pain of inheritance. He had to become a ruler while still living under the shadow of Osman Ghazi. He had to prove himself not only to enemies but also to his people, his family, his art, and perhaps even to himself. That inner conflict is what make Orhan Bey interesting. A weak version to the story would only show battle and victories. A stronger version show the cost of becoming ruler. Orhan is not just fighting enemies outside the walls, he is fighting doubt, memory, expectation, and the silent question that follow every son of a great father. Can he become his own man, or will he remain only the continuation of someone else's legend? This is why Osman Bey's death inside the story becomes such a powerful turning point. When the father is alive, the son can still lean on him, challenges him, learn from him, or disagree with him, but the father is gone. The son he now ever to hide the throne, the banner he tried, the soldiers, the mother, the views, the brother, and the enemies all turned toward him. The world asked him to answer immediately. There is no time for private grief. That is the tragedy of rulers. They are allowed to cry only for a moment, and then history demand that the stand. Rulus Orhan had to chance explored this deeply. This the emotional core of the show was never only conquest, it was inheritance. It was the transfer of a dream from one generation to another. Osman Bey established a path, but Orhan Bey had to widen it. Osman forgot to create a state, but Orhan had to make the state stable. Osman Bey the flame that began the fire, but Orhan had to turn that fire into light. The show also introduced a complicated emotional struggle of power, love, and political through Nilüfer Haunted and Polka. Nilüfer represents the heart, the past, loyalty, and emotional memory as Porca represent political diplomacy, foreign influence, and a new kind of alliances. In a weaker drama, this would become only jealousy, but in a stronger historical drama, these relationships are not just romantic conflict. They show how ruler cannot separate personal life from state decision. A marriage can become an alliance. A heartbreak can become a political wound. A palace room can become more dangerous than a battlefield. This is where Kurulus Orhan and strong dramatic material Nilufar Pain could represent the emotional cost of power, as Porca arrival could represent the unavailable reality of political. Orhan position between them could present the ruler course that he must make decisions that may protect the state but damage the heart. This is not a small story. That is the kind of story that can carry an entire season if written with patience and emotional depth, but the reported early ending mean the show may have not the luxury of slow development. Anyone the writer now needs to make every remaining scene count. They cannot waste time with repeated argument, unnecessary side conflict, or empty tension. Every character must move toward a final purpose. Every emotional wound must either heal, explode, or transform into something meaningful. The final episode could change the meaning of the whole series. Now, the biggest question is not only whether Kurus or Han will send episode 23, 26. The bigger question is how it will end. A final episode can save a series, weaken a series, or completely change how people remember it. Sometimes a show has a difficult journey but delivery a strong ending, and fan forgive me earlier problems. Sometimes a show begin with greatness but end without emotional satisfactions, and that ending become the only thing people remember. Kurus Orhan is now standing at that sensitive point. The final episode must understand what the audience want emotionally. Fans do not only want to see Orhan Bey win a battle, they want to feel that he became the ruler he wanted mean to be. They want to see him carry Osman Bey's legacy without despairing inside it. They want to see him make decisions that prove he is not simply the son of Osman, but Sultan Orhan is in his now own right. That transformation is more important than any signal sword fight. A strong ending should show Orhan Bey facing pressure from every direction. Outside there should be enemies who believe the young ruler can be broken. Inside there should be doubt from those who still compare him to his father. In this palace there should be emotional storm caused by marriage, loyalty, and ambitions. Among the Bey there should be fear that change will destroy ambition, tradition, and within Orhan himself there should be a final battle between the man he was and the ruler he must become. This is the kind of final art that would give the show weight. Orhan Bey should not simply win because script say he is the hero. He should win because he learned he unite different kind of power. Osman Bey age was the age of foundation through struggle. Orhan age should be the age of foundation through order. He must understand that a sword can open a gate, but justice keep that gate from. Orhan age should be the age of foundation outer order. He must understand that a sword can open a gate, but justice keep that gate from closing again. He must understand that consequence without administration is temporary, and love without sacrifice is fragile. The show current official material and recent episode promotion suggest that place tension, marriage, political, and the Esporka Nilufar dynamic are central to the latest phase. That means the final episode may not only focus the battlefield but also on the emotional consequence inside Orhan household. This is more important because the Ottoman story is not only built it war camps, it is built in family rooms, council chamber, marriages, negotiations and painful compromises. Nilufar Khan's role should not be reduced to sadness. She deserves a powerful emotional consolation if she is the woman who loved Orhan before the full burden of role changed everything. The final arc should show strength, not only heartbreak. She should become someone who understands that love is the balance in never simple but dignity. It is possible. Her silence should not be weakness, her tears should not be defeat, her pain should become wisdom. Esporka, on the other hand, should not be written only as a rival. She represents a different world entering Orhan's life. She is connecting to Byzantine political discipline, strategy, and survival. If the show handles her properly, she can become more than a romantic complication. She can become a symbol of how Orhan state is expanding betrayal, tribal foundation. This more the state grows, the more it must deal with foreign court diplomacy, enemies who become partner and partner who may hide danger. Aladdin Bey also the major important in the final stretch. He represents knowledge, law and the internal structure of the state. If Orhan is the face of rule, Aladdin can be the mind that helps shape it. The final episode should show that the Ottoman rise was not only about bravery, it also required intelligent record keeping, justice planning and the ability to turn a warrior community into a lasting political order. If Orhan gives these characters strong ending, then given a short run can feel meaningful, but if he rushes everything only to reach the final episode, fans may feel that the story ended before it truly began. That is the danger. The show has enough material for a much longer journey, but now it may also only a few or ended before it truly began. That is the danger. The show had enough material for a much longer journey, but now it may have only a few or left to prove its purpose. Why fans are divided over the reported ending. The fans' reaction to his update is emotional because Krulus Orhan is not just a series for many viewers, it is part of a larger culture and historical television journey. Fans who followed Reels, Ertugrul and Krulus Osman did not simply watch episode the forward generation, they watched father become legend, some become a leader, drive become state and dreams become institutions. So when reports say Krulus Orhan and may at episode 26, fans naturally feel that something huge is being cut short. Some viewers believe the series needed more time. Their argument is simple. Orhan Bey's story cannot be properly told in such a short period. Historically, Orhan era is full of major development including Bursa state organizations, military transformation, political marriages, and the growth of Ottoman authority. And a character with this much importance deserve a slow and literal treatment. These viewers feel that ending early means losing the chance to explore one of most important stages of Ottoman history. Other viewers are more practical. They say that if the rating were not strong enough, the production company and channel may have decided to move on. Television is expensive, especially a historical drama, horses, battle scenes, and a big cast. Shows like Kurulus Orhan cannot be produced like a small indoor drama. It needs scale. If the audience number do not justice that scale, producer may chooses a shorter ending instead of forcing a long run. There is also a third group of fans, these viewers and disappointed but still hopeful. They believe episode 26 can become a powerful final if the writer focus on emotional closure. For them, the number of episodes is less important than the quality of the ending. They want dignity. They want a final message. They want Orhan Bey to stand tall, not as a cancelled hero, but as a ruler whose story closes with strength. This is the correct way to look at it from a storytelling point of view. A short series is not automatically a failure. Some dramas become memorable because they are before they lose their power. The real issue is not length. The real issue complexion. Does the story feel complete? To the character reach a meaningful point? Does the ending respect the audience emotional investment? Does the final image stay in the viewer's mind? Kurulus Orhan still has a chance to do that. The show can use the reported final strengths to create urgency. Orhan Bey can force one final crisis that or forces him to unite the fractured emotional and political world around him. Nilufar can receive a scene of dignity. Asporka can reveal whether she is a truly and only a political necessity or someone whose heart changed through Orhan world. Molhan Hond can represent the last living emotional bridge of Osman era. Aladdin can instead beside his brother, now as a shadow but as a pillar of new stage. The ending should also include the memory of Osman Bey, not through repeated flashbacks to force nostalgia, but through the weight of his absence. Sometimes the strongest presence is the one that is no longer physically there. Orhan should feel Osman in the decision he makes, in the way people look at him, in the standard he carries, and in the silence before battle. A powerful final episode would show that Osman's dream did not die with him. It changed, and this is why fans are so emotional. They are not only asking will there be a second season, they are asking will the legacy be respected. This is a much deeper question, and the answer will depend on how the final episode as written, what the final story should deliver. If Kurulus Orhan is truly ending with episode 26, the final episode and need to deliver four things: emotional closure, political clarity, character dignity, and legacy. Without these four elements, the ending may feel incomplete. With them, even a shorter season can become memorable. First, emotional closure is necessary for Orhan Bey. He began as a man carrying a man larger than himself. By the end, He must become the man who gives that new a new meaning. His final journey should not be only about defecting our memory, it should be about understanding what kind of ruler he wants to be. Does he rule through fear, through justice, through tradition, through innovation, or through a balance of all them? This question should define his final transformation. Second, political clarity is important. The audience should understand what Orhan's state become by the end. Is it still only a belly fighting for survival, or his taken the final clear step towards something greater? The final episode shows that instruction, alliances, law, and vision. A state is not built only when enemies fall. A state is built when people believe tomorrow will be more organized by people tomorrow than yesterday. This character, third character, dignity matter deeply. Nilufer should not be left only in sorrow. Asporka should not be reduced to a plot device. Aladdin should not be used only when advice is needed. Molhan Horn should not fade quietly without emotional weight. Even sporting characters deserve final moment that show why they mattered in a historical epic. The hero may carry the title, but the world feels alive because everyone around him has purpose. Fourth, legacy must be the final message. Krulus or Orhan should end by reminding the audience that history is not built in one generation. Ertugrul carried the dream through survival. Osman gave it from through foundation. Orhan must carry it into performance. That is the beauty of this saga. It is not the story of one man alone, it is the story of a dream passing through blood, sacrifice, faith, political grief, and courage. A perfect final scene could show Orhan Bey standing not in the shadow of Osman but in the light created by him. He looked at the land before him and understood that his father gave him more than a throne, he gave him a responsibility. Around him the people may still be uncertain, the enemies may still be watching. The enemies may still be watching and the future may still be dangerous, but Orhan no longer looked like a man trying to prove himself. He looked like a ruler who has accepted the burden. That is the emotional image fans need. Not only victory but acceptance, not only a sword raised in the air, but a heart that has grown heavy enough to carry a state. The should show allow avoid ending with too many unanswered questions. If there is no second season, then the final cannot be held like a bridge to feel like a door closing with meaning. Open ending can be beautiful, but only when the emotional arc is complete. Audience can imagine future battled, but only when the emotional arc is incomplete. The audience can imagine future battled, future conquest, and future struggle, but they should not be left wondering whether the main story itself was abandoned. Final commentary and closing hook. So now the situation is clear. Krulus Orhan is moving into a critical phase. Official platforms are still showing the next episode rollout, while Turkish media reports are pointing toward a possible episode 26 final. This creates a very intense moment for the series. The show now has limited time to prove its emotional value, satisfy its audience, and protect and legacy of the Krulus universe. For fans, the is not the moment to look away. In fact, this may be the most important time to watch carefully. Every new scene may now be part of the final structure. Every conversation between Orhan and Nilufar, every political move involving Esporka, every memory of Osman Bey, every council scenes and every battle preparation may be carrying the show toward his final statement, and maybe this is the most powerful way to understand Krulus Orhan. If it is a story about a man who inherits a dream at the exact moment when that dream becomes heavier than ever, he is not allowed to be only a son, he is not allowed to be only a husband, he is not allowed to be only a warrior, he must become the center of state that is still learning how to stand. This is why Orhan Bey journey deserve a strong ending. Whether we will love every episode or criticize part of the show, the character himself represents a major historical turning point. His history in the bridge between foundation expansion. Without Orhan, Osman dream would remain unfinished. Without Orhan, the idea of a lasting Ottoman order would not carry the same meaning. If episode 26 become the final, then if she not feel like a sudden stop, if should feel like the closing of one chapter and the opening of historical itself. The scene may grow dark, the music may fade, and the deserve may end, but the final ending should be this. The state is no longer only a dream, it has begun to better, and this is the question we leave the final. Will Krulus Orhan uses it final episode to create a powerful farewell, or will fan feel that Orhan Bey's story ended too soon? The answer will come very soon. And for the audience that has followed that universe from Artul to Osman and now to Orhan, this final episode may decide how the entire journey is remembered. Orhan Bey long list test begin. The most powerful thing about Krulus Orhan at this stage is not only the sword, the battlefield, or the noise of enemies gathering outside the borders. The power now lies in silence. This is the silence that after a father's name is mentioned, it is the silence that still the room when Orhan Bey entered the council and everyone watched his face to see whether he carries Osman Bey fire on only his shadow. If the silence of a young ruler who understands that every mistake will be judged more harshly because he is not an ordinary Bey, he is the son of Osman Ghazi, he is the man who must prove that the foundation was not the end of the story but only the beginning of a much great road. At this point the series he has reached a very delicate moment. The audience is not simply waiting to see what Orhan will do next, they are waiting to see will do next. They are waiting to see what kind of man he will become. This is different. A man can win a battle and still remain incomplete. A ruler can capture a castle and still fail to rule heart. A son can inherit a banner and still not understand the weight of the wind that move it. Orhan Bey is standing in that space between inheritance and identity. He has been given a legacy, but he cannot live forever under its protection. Sooner or later, he must step forward and make a decision that belongs only to him, not to Osman, is not to the tribe, not to tradition, not to Orhan. This is why the coming episode can be important. If the story is truly moving toward a final stretch, then Orhan's emotional journey must become sharper. He cannot remains surrounded by half-resolved feeling and unfinished doubt. The final version of Orhan must be clear, he must be wounded but not broken, he must be emotional but not weak, he must respect the past but now become trapped inside it. This is the transformation viewers need to feel. The Orhan who entered the story as soul must leave it as the face of a new state. In many historical drama, the hero is tested by enemies who attack from outside. But Krulus Orhan has a deeper opportunity. The series can show that the cruelest enemy of a ruler is not always the soldiers ending holding a sword. Sometimes it is the comparison in people's eyes. Sometimes it is the memory of a father who did everything before him with a greatness that seems impossible to match. Sometimes it is the whisper inside the ruler's own heart asking whether he is truly ready. This kind of conflict is more painful than endure because it cannot be ended with one strike. It follows the hero into every room. It sat before him at the council table. It tried with the into war. It watches him when he speaks to the they must him. The latest direction of the story make the emotional pressure even stronger when a series approaches impossibilities ending. The audience begin reading every scene differently. A normal conversation suddenly feels like a farewell. A glance between characteristics feel like a final confession. A political decision feel like the last chance to define the hero. This is why the final episode must not waste their time. They must move with purpose. Every scene should either deepen or harm character, resolve a major relationship, reveal the true intention of enemy, or prepare the state of this next page. This is the no respect left of empty moment. Orhan Bale on lines should be shown with mature mixture. He should not be presented only as a man who gives strong speeches. A ruler on lines is more complicated than he can be surrounded by ops, advisors, family and loyal soldiers, yet still feel alone because the final decision is his. Other can advise, warm, argue and support, but when the moment comes, Orhan must cry the responsibility by himself. If a plan for history will not blame the conflict first, it will become him. If him carries political pain, the burden storm to him. If war begin, his people will bleed under his command. This is what separates leadership him ambition. Maybe people want power, but every few understand the price of deciding for others. This is where the series can make Orhan Bey more powerful than before. The strongest version of Orhan is not the own. Never doubt the strongest version is one doubt, suffer, think, and still stand. When the time comes, viewers can connect more deeply with a hero who has inner weight. A perfect hero become distant. A struggle hero become human. If Orhan has moment where the remember Osman question. If Orhan has moment where the remember Osman question himself, fearing losing the people trust or feel torn between personal happiness and political duty, then the final rise will feel earned. The audience will not simply be told that he is a ruler, they feel that he was paid the emotional cost of become one. The leadership between Orhan and Osman memory must also be handled carefully. Osman Bey should not appear only as a name repeated in speeches. His legacy should affect the behavior of everyone around Orhan. Some character may use Osman's name to guide Orhan, others may use it to pressure him. Some may say your father would have done this. Others may quietly wonder if Orhan can do with Osman. Did this create dramatic pressure without needed direct confrontation? Osman become in a living force inside the story, even when he is absent. That absence can become one of the strongest emotional weapon of the final arc. But Orhan must eventually stop asking what Orhan would have alone done and start asking what Osman would have done and start asking what is the state now needs. That is the true turning point. A son honors his father by remembering alone him. A ruler honors him by continuing the mission. It in a way subtle for a new age. If Orhan only imitates Osman, he remains a shadow. If he rejects Osman completely, he breaks the chain. The right path is between these two extremes. He must understand the soul of Osman's dream, then give it its own shape. This is how legacy survives. It does not survive by become frozen. It survives by moving forward. The final stretch should also show that Orhan enemies are not foolish. A weak villain makes the hero look ordinary. A strong villain makes the hero victory meaningful. Orhan needs opponents who understand his weakness. They should know that his father's death has created emotional crack. They should that palace our tension can be used against him. They should not that political marriages, tribal rivals, and family wounds can become sharper than sword. If the enemies attack only with soldiers, the story becomes simple. But if they attack Orhan, confidence, reputation, family unity, and public trust, then the drama becomes much stronger. Imagine an enemy who understands that Orhan's biggest vulnerability is not fear but responsibility. Such an enemy would not rush into war immediately. He would create doubt among the babe. He would separate rumors that Orhan is being controlled by palace political. He would try to turn love into weakness and marriages into scandal. He wants forces Orhan to defend himself not only on the battlefield but in the heart of the people. This world be a much more intelligence conflict, and it Orhan defected such an enemy. The victory become more satisfying because he has defined both land and legitimacy. The role of people should also become more visible. Historical drama often focus on rule, but as a state is not real unless ordinary people believe in it. The final episode can show the villager, treasure, craftsmen, widows, soldiers, families, and young boys looking forward Orhan with uncertainty. They have lost Osman and now they are trying to understand whether Orhan can protect him. Their fear matters, their hope matters, their trust matters. A ruler does not become great only when noble accept him. He becomes great when the people begin sleeping with less fear because his justice stand over them. This is why Orhan's final test should include a moment where he chooses justice over convenience. A true ruler is revealed not when the answer is easy, but when every option hurt. Maybe he must punish someone close to him, and maybe he must protect someone unpopular because the law demands it. Maybe he must reject an emotional desire because the state would suffer. Maybe he must forgive an enemy for a larger purpose. Whatever the situation, the audience need to see that Orhan rule is not built only one only on bloodline, it is built on principle. Krulus Orhan can become very strong if we turn the cost of loving someone who belongs not only to himself but the history. Nilufar and understand Orhan hurts better than may others, yet she may also suffer the most because his heart cannot make decisions freely. This is tragic and it should be written with dignity. Her pain should not become respective crying, it should become quiet strength. She should look at Orhan and realize that the man she loves is disappearing into the ruler he must become. The kind of emotional writing would make Nilufar memorable. Instead of fighting only for palace, she would fight for her dignity, her trust, and her understand of Orhan burden. She may not agree with every decision he makes, but she can still understand why he is changing. This is mature drama. Love does not always end because affection dies. Sometimes love suffers. Duty grows larger than both people. That is the kind of pain viewers remember. Esporca Palace must also be handled with intelligence. If she is shown only as a woman who comes between Orhan and Nilufar, then her character becomes too small for the historical world around her. She should represent political necessary foreign connection and the political margin of world. Through Esporca, the story can also show that Orhan state is no longer only a tribal power, it is entering a wider political field where marriages, alliances, and diplomacy can change the map. Her presence should make the palace more complicated but also more realistic. A growing state cannot remain insulated, it must learn how to deal with outsiders, and sometimes those outsiders enter the heart of the palace itself. The best version of Esporca would be neither a simple villain nor a simple victim. She would be a woman who understands survival. She should know that is political court. Softness can be dangerous and silence can be strategy. If she began as a foreign presence, the absence should slowly see what she wants, what she fears, and what she is willing to sacrifice. Her conflict with Nilofar should not be written as childish jealousy, it should be written as a woman standing in different positions inside the same storm. One carries the wound of love, the other carries he burden the politically identity. Or Orhan stand between them, but the story should not reduce too much. Story should reduce to only his joys. They must have their own inner world. Aladdin Bey can become and the balancing forces in the final phase, while Orhan representing action. Aladdin can represent through, while Orhan carries the visible burden of ruler. Aladdin can carry the invisible structure that make rule possible. The series should use him to remind viewers that states are not built only by brave men or horses, they are built by law, record, exits, discipline, education, and the administrative order. If Orhan is hand that holds the sword, Aladdin can be the mind that shapes the system. Their brotherhood should not be built only on affections. It should become a participation that gives the state if its future. This brotherhood can also create emotional depth. Orhan and Aladdin may not always see the same way. One of think from the battlefield the other from the council's room. One may act quickly, one may warm patiently. The difference should not make the enemies, should make the strongest. A great state needs both courage and calculations. If the final episode shows the broth learning to respect each other to roles, then the audience the feels what or Usman's sons are not divided the shadow but two pillars hiding the same proof. Mulhan Horn's role should carry the emotional weight of the precious generation. She is not only a mother figure, she is a witness. She has seen the struggle, the sacrifice, the rise, the losses, and the price paid by Qasim. Her scenes with Orhan should feel heavy because she can speak from memory, not heavy theory. She can remind him of what Osman suffered, but she should also understand that Orhan cannot simple alive Osman path a powerful mother son scenes. She can remind him so what Usman suffered, but she should also understand that Orhan cannot simply relieve Osman path. A powerful mother son should could become one of the emotional highlight of the final. She may tell him that a father legacy is not a chain around his neck, but a fire is his hand. If he hears, it will burn him. If he carries it wisely, it will light the road. This is the kind of writing that can lift the final episode above simple confliction. Krulus Orhan should not end like a story running out of time. It should end like a story arriving as a chosen emotional destination. The Reporter episode 26 final may disappoint fans who wanted a long journey, but a short journey can still be meaningful if it's shaped with courage. The final arc should not feel like surrender. It should feel like concentration. Less time means more pressure, and more pressure can create powerful drama. As Orhan Bey moves forward toward the last stage, the question becomes sharper than ever. Will he remain a young ruler trying to protect what he inherits, will be become he man who turns inheritance into destiny? This is the heart of this chapter. The audience does not need another version of Osman. They need Orhan to discover his own voice. They need him to stand in the council and speak not like a son defending his father's throne, but like a leader who has accepted the throne now belongs to the responsibility. When that moment happens, the story final breathes differently. The past will still be there, but it will no longer dominate him. It will stand behind him. Will he step forward? The beauty of Farhan's story is that it is not about it will stand behind him while the step forward. The beauty of Orhan's story is that it is not about replacing Osman. It is not proving that Osman's dream was strong enough to survive him. That is the real test of every. A founder's greatness is only measured by what he built while he lives, but whether he building will stand after he is gone. Orhan building the state after he is gone. Orhan is the answer to that seed test. If he fails, Osman become a memory. If he success, Osman become history. That is why the final episode must focus on Orhan transformation with the emotional forces of love, power, and the palace war. No one can escape. The most dangerous war is Krulus. Orhan are not always fought in open fights. Some of them happen behind closed doors in rooms where voice and lawyer, where I speak before mouth do, and where every small decision can change the future of all the state. This palace is no softer than the battlefield, it is on quieter. On the battlefield, a man sees a sword coming toward him. In the palace, danger often arrives as advice, marriages, loyalty, silence, or a simple death hides an intention. This is why the emotional and political tension around Orhan Best's household may become one of the most important parts of the final episode. A growing state cannot keep personal life separate from public duty. This is the tragedy of Orhan Bey's position. If he were not only a man, his heart might choose freely. If he were only a husband, love might be enough. If he were only a son, grief might be allowed to control him for a while. But he is one of these alone. He is a ruler. Every personal decision becomes public. Every marriage become a message. Every emotional weakness become a chance for enemies. Every conflict inside the palace become a rumor outside its wall. The ruler home is never only at home. It becomes a mirror of the state. This is why Nilüfer and Sporka are not simply part of romantic storyline. They represent two different pressures inside Orhan world. Nilüfer is connected to emotional truth, loyalty, pain, and the life Orhan may have wanted before politicals grew too heavy. As Sporka is connected to strategy, alliances, expansion at the demand of a wider political reality. Of one pulls him towards the heart, the other pulls him toward to the map. One reminds him of who he is, the other reminds him of what he must become. This tension is not ordinary jealousy, it is a ruler cues asking woman from Nilüfer character can become very powerful if he rights allow her to rise beyond suffering. She should not spend the final episode only reacting the Orhan decision. She should understand the palace, read the people around her, and protect her dignity. In a palace where emotions are easily used as weapons, her love for Orhan should not make her helpless. It should make her more aware of the cost of power. She may feel betrayal, wounded, and pushed aside, but should not lose herself. The strongest Nilüfer is the one who can suffer quietly and still stand with grace. There is something deeply tragic about Nilüfer's position. She may know the real Orhan beside the title. She may remember the man before the state fully claimed him. She may see moments of hesitation in his face that other may. She may understand when his words are spoken as a ruler, but his eyes still carry pain as a man. That kind of emotional knowledge is dangerous because it keeps hope alive him when reality become cruel. Nilüfer hearts may continue searching for the Orhan she knew while the world keep forcing him to become someone harder. This is why her scenes with Orhan should not be written as repeated argument. They should be written as emotional duels. Every conversation between them should reveal something new. Sometimes he should challenge him, sometimes he should protect him from his own harshness. Sometimes she should remind him that a ruler who bruised his heart too deeply may one day forget why they wanted to rule justly in the first palace. Nilüfer can become the voice that asks Orhan whether the state he is building will have room for mercy. As Porca or should carry a different kind of tension. She entered the story with political meaning, whether loved or disliked by fans. Her presence has narrative value because she forces Orhan world to expand. Love, power, and the palace war. No one can escape the most dangerous war in Kurulus. Orhan are not always fought in open field. Some of them happen behind closed doors in rooms where voices are louder where I speak before mouth do, and where every smart decision can change the future of the state. The palace is not softer than the battlefield, it is only quieter. On the battlefield, a man sees the world coming toward him. In the palace, danger often arrives as advice, marriages, loyalty, silence, or a smile that hides another intention. This is why the emotional and political tension around Orhan Bey's household may become one of the most important part of the final episode. A growing state cannot keep personal life separate from public duty. This is the tragedy of Orhan Bey's position. If he were only a man, his heart might choose freely. If he were only a husband, love might be enough. If he were only a son, grief might be allowed to control him for a while. But he is none of these things alone. He is a ruler. Every personal decision becomes public. Every marriage becomes a message. Every emotional weakness becomes a chance for enemies. Every conflict inside the palace becomes a rumor outside its wall. The ruler homes in never only at home. It becomes the mirror of the state. This is why Nilufar and Sporka are not simply part of a romantic storyline. They represent two different pressures inside Orhan world. Nilufar is connected to emotional truth, loyalty, pain, and the life Orhan may have wanted before politics grew too heavy. Sporka is connected to strategy, alliances, expansions, and the demand of a wider political reality. One pulls him toward the heart, the other pulls him toward the map. One reminds one of who he is, the other reminds him of what he must become. This tension is not ordinary jealousy, it is the ruler cues talking human from. Nilufar's character can become very powerful if the writers allow her to rise beyond suffering. She should not spend the final episode only reacting to Orhan's decision. She should understand the palace and read the people around her and protect her dignity. In a palace where emotions are usually used as weapon, her love for Orhan should not make her helpless, it should make her more aware of the cost of power. She may feel betrayal, wounded and pushed aside, but she should not lose herself. The strongest Nilufar is one of who can suffer quietly and still stand with grace. There is something deeply tragic about Nilufar's position. She may know the real Orhan behind the title. She may remember the man before the state fully claimed him. She may seize moments of hesitation in his face that others miss. She may understand when his words are spoken as a ruler, but his eyes still carry pain as a man. That kind of emotional knowledge is dangerous because it keeps hope alive even when reality becomes cruel. Nilufar's heart may continue searching for the Orhan she knew while the world keeps forcing him to become someone harder. This is why the scenes with Orhan should not be written as repeated arguments, they should be written as emotional duels. Every conversation between them should reveal something new. Sometimes she should challenge him, sometimes she should protect him from his own harshness, sometimes she should remind him that a ruler who breaks his heart too deeply may one day forget why he wanted to rule justly in the first place. Nilufar can become the voice that asks Orhan whether the state he is building will still have room for murky Asporka or should carry a different kind of tension. She entered the story with political meaning, whether love or dislike. By pain, her presence has narrative value because she forces other world to expand. She is not from the same emotional space as Nilufar. She brings another culture, another cultural logic, another survival method in a palace shaped by tribal memory and Ottoman ambition. Esporka can feel like both an outsider and a necessary key. This makes her dangerous and fascinating at the same time. The writer should not make Sporka one-dimensional if she is ambitious, show why if she guarded, show but taught her to hide her feeling if she appeared cold, show that kind of world make warmth unsafe for her. A woman placed into a political marriage does not arrive without fear. She may carry her on around her own loyalties and her own calculation. She may not trust the people around Orhan because she knows that God can destroy those who enter them unprepared. Her strength should come from intelligence, not only pride. The tension between Nilufer and Sporka can become one of the richest emotional eras. One of the final arcs, if it is written with respect for both women, they should not be reduced to sides of a simple love triangle. Their conflict should represent two truths. Nilufer truth is emotional loyalty, Sporka truth is political reality. Nilufer may ask what love is worth of its power can crush it. Sporka may ask what love can protect if the state itself is weak. Neither question is a small. Both are painful, both belong in Orhan's world. This makes Orhan's position almost impossible. If he follows only his heart, he may risk political instability. If he follows only political necessity, he may lose the human part of himself. If he tries to satisfy everyone, he may satisfy no one. This is the trap of leadership. A ruler is often blamed by those who do not see the full board. The lover sees the wound, the advisor sees the danger, the enemy sees the opportunity, the mother sees the son, the people the way. Orhan must carry all these versions of himself at once. A strong episode could show Orhan sitting alone after a public victory, not celebrating but thinking about what he has lost privately. This would be more powerful than another loud speech. Viewers need to see that victory is not always joy. Sometimes victory is the moment when a ruler realizes that he has saved the state but demanded his own heart. This is mature storyline. It gives the audience something deeper to feel than excitement. The palace tension should also include Orhan's perspective. She understands both love and power because she lived beside Osman during the foundation years. She knows that a ruler household can either strengthen the state or quality weaken it. Her advice to Orhan should not be simple emotional comfort. It should be sharp, wise, and sometimes painful. She may tell him that women in the palace are not ornament in history. They are protector of memory, alliances, children, and stability. If he ignores their pain, the palace will become divided. If her palace becomes divided, the enemies outside will smell weakness. Orhan can also speak to Nilufer and Sporka separately, not as judge but as someone who knows the cost of being lost to power. To Nilufer, she may say that love must learn patience when it lives beside a throne. To Sporka, she may say that entering this family meaning carrying not only privilege but also the grief of those who built it. These conversations can add depth and prevent the story from becoming shallow rivalry. The women around Orhan should feel like real political and emotional forces. Aladdin Bey presence can help stabilize the palace narrative. He may see how personal conflict is beginning to affect state matter. His role is not only to advise Orhan on law and political but to warn him when private wounds are becoming public threat are clear, Aladdin would understand that enemies do not always need to defect Orhan directly. They can create enough disorder around him that his own people begin questioning his judgment. This makes the palace a battlefield of prescriptions. Public perception should become a major theme. If rumors spread that Orhan is distracted by a woman, controlled by foreign influencer, or weakened by grief, this is the authority could suffer. A ruler image is part of his power. Is if he it does not mean he should become fake, but he must understand how people interpret his action. Even a truthful decision can be misunderstood if represented properly. This is where Orhan must measure. He cannot rule only through intention, he must rule through wisdom. The enemies can exploit this perfectly. They may whisper that Sporka influence is changing Orhan. They may suggest as Nilufar's sadness proved the palace unstable. They may claim that Aladdin is the wiser brother and Orhan is only the sword. They may try to avoid mother from son, brother from brother, wife from wife, way from people. This is how state or weakened from within. Before the enemy attacks the wall, he attacks truth. Orhan answer to his must not be anger alone. If he reacts to every rumors with rage, the gives enemies exactly what they want. He must learn the difference between strength and reaction. True authority does not chase every whisper. It stands so filmy that whisper love value, but that firmness must be earned. Orhan must make one or two major decisions that silence doubt, not through fear but through unbelievable justice and clarity. One such decision could involve protecting someone he has personal reason to punish. Another could involve refusing to sacrifice an innocent person for political convenience. A third could involve admitting a mistake before his council, not a weakness, but as proof that the rule be set on truth. These kind of some moment would make him different from ordinary ruler. The audience would see that Orhan is not only learning how to command, he is learning how to reserve command. The relationship between love and state duty should reach a breaking point. There must be a scene where only understand that the cannot keep every part of life safe. This does not mean he become cruel, it means he become honest. He may tell Nilufar that his heart has no forgotten, but his path no longer belong only to his heart. He may tell Asporka that political alliances cannot survive without respect. He may tell the council that no private matter will be allowed to weaken the state. Each conversation should push him toward a more complete form of rulership. This is where the conscript can become emotionally beautiful. Orhan's tragedy is not that he does not love, his tragedy is that love alone cannot guide a ruler. Yet, if he loses love completely, he becomes dangerous. So his journey is to carry love without allowing it rule him, and to carry power without allowing to it empty him. That balance is incredibly difficult. It is also what makes him worthy of a historical epic. Nilufar's final emotional position should be graceful and strong. She may not receive everything her heart wanted. She can receive something more lasting: respect, dignity, and a place in the moral memory of the story. Her final scenes should make viewer feel that she did not lose because another woman entered Orhan's life. She ensured because history demands more form of the happiness. There is a different one is humiliation. The other is tragedy with honor as Porka final position should also be meaningful if she become loyal or Orhan world if should be happen suddenly or cheaply if should come through witness sacrifice justice as the seriousness of the mission. She may begin by thinking in terms of survival and influence but to gradually understand that the state is not only a political project, it is carried by belief, memory, and blood. If she change her change must be earned. If she remain conflict, that conflict must feel human, not artificial. The final palace are should end with unity, but not a false unity. Everyone does not need to become happy. Everyone does not need to forgive everything easily. But they must understand that a larger storm is coming and the survival of the state matters more than personal victory. This kind of unity is more believable. It is not based on everyone smiling together. It is based on wounded people choosing responsibility. That choice will define the maturity of the series. Krulus Orhan is strongest, who is shows that history is built by people who do not always get what they want but still carry what must be carried. Osman carried the dream through hardship. Orhan must carry it through complexity. His world is not simple than Osman, it is different. The challenges are less about finding a homeland and more about keeping power from poisoning the home that has been built. As the final episode moves closer, the palace should feel like a place where every candle burned with tension, every quiet step in the corridor should be feel meaningful, every conversation should carry doubt, meaning every character should be aware that the future is tightening around them. This atmosphere can make the final arc feel cinematic and emotionally rich. The audience should feel that something invariable is coming not only outside the wall but inside every heart. But Orhan Bey greatest palace victory will not be greatest will not be choosing as woman over another or silence one rival voice. His greatest victory will be creating order without destroying the people inside that order. A weaker ruler crushes conflict, a wise ruler transforms it. If Orhan Kurt turned palace division into political strength, personal pain into maturity, and emotional pressure into discipline, then the will prove that he is ready for the next stage of history. In the end, the palace war is not separate from the battlefield, it appears. The battlefield are divided. Palace send a weaker ruler to war. A stable palace send a ruler with a clear mind. If Orhan entered the final battle still confused by personal wound, his enemies will has already won. Fighting truth inside the own human. This sword he will carry more than anger. It will carry clarity, and clarity is one of the most dangerous weapons a ruler can possess. The road to the final episode. It Krulus Orhan is truly approaching its final episode. Then the story now needs to move like a river before a waterfall. If must carry faces, the audience must feel that every character is being pulled toward a final moment where truth can no longer hide. The enemies must reveal their strongest move. The palace must face its deepest wound. The brothers must stand together. Orhan Bey must finally stop defending his right to lead and begin proving why history needs him. The road to the final episode should begin by a sense of tightening danger. The enemy outside the border should not longer behave like scattered threat. They should become part of larger pressure. Byzantine commanders, rivals, base, hidden territories, and political manipulators can all move in different way, but their goals bound should be become most rival were hidden traitors and political manipulators can all move in different ways, but their goal should become the same. Test Orhan before the authority become unshakable. The enemy know that a young ruler is most valuable. Before his people fully believe in him, or once belief settle, it become much harder to break. So the final attack must come before Orhan rule becomes natural. This is a strong, dramatic idea because it gives urgency to the final episode. The enemies are not attacking randomly, they are attacking the transition itself, they are attacking the fragile moment between Osman R and Orhan era. That moment is the narrow bridge. If Orhan crosses it, state survivors stronger. If he falls from it, the dream begins to crack. This makes the conflict more meaningful than a simple war. It becomes a battle over continuity. The final villain or enemy force should understand this clearly. He should not only want land, he should want to break the belief that Osman's sons can continue his mission. He should spread the idea that Osman was the last true leader and after him the state will weaken. This would strike directly Orhan's deepest fear. A clever enemy does not attack where the wall is strongest, he attacks where enemy is painful. Orhan's response should develop gradually. At first he may feel the pressure personally, he may become angry when people compare him to Osman, he may be hurt when some may hesitate, he may feel betrayed when old allies question his choices. But by the final episode, he must rise above personal reaction. He must understand that relationship is not about forcing people to stop doubting. It is about giving them a reason to believe. This is the emotional difference between a young leader and a true ruler. A powerful scene could show Osman Orhan walking through the market or among ordinary people without the full glory of ceremony. He hears whispers, some people are afraid, some remember Osman with tears, some wonder if war is coming, some look at Orhan with hope but also uncertainty. Instead of becoming energy, Orhan listen. This moment would teach him something important. The people do not doubt him because they hate me. They doubt because they are afraid. They have already suffered too much to trust easily. If Orhan understands this, his rule become more competent. From the moment his leadership can change, he no longer need to prove himself for pride. He need to protect people from fear. This gives his mission purity. It is not about ego, it is about responsibility. A ruler driven by wonder, pride can become reckless. A ruler driven by responsibility become dangerous. In a better way, he thinks more clearly. He chooses his battle. He understands that every soldier has a mother, every village has children, and every victory has a cost. The final arc should bring Aladdin closer to Orhan. Their partnership can become one of the emotional anchor of the ending. Orhan may plan the military answer while Aladdin build the political and legal answer together. They show that the state is not one dimensional. It has a sword and a mind. It has courage and order. It has faith and administration. This brotherhood could become a beautiful tribute to Osman's legacy. The sons are different, but the dream needs both of them. There should be at least one scene where the brothers speak privately about their father, not in a repetitive way, not with ordinary sentimental line, but with painful honesty. Orhan may admit that every time he makes a decision, he hears Osman's name before his own. Aladdin may tell him that this is not a curse, but it can become one if Orhan never allows himself to grow beyond fear. This brotherly conversation should not end with easy comfort, it should end with a truth. Osman did not raise them to become composed of him, he raised them to continue what he could not finish alone. That line of thought could become the emotional key to the final Orhan final transformation happened when he realized that continuing Osman's path does not mean walking with some footstep, it means reaching the destination with the strength of a new generation. This is how the show can give meaning to the generational change. Ertugrul survived the storm. Osman built the foundation. Orhan must organize the future. Each man has a different mission. Each mission required a different kind of greatness. The final conflict should also give Nilufar and Esporca meaningful roles. Nilufar can protect the emotional unity of the palace, perhaps by choosing maturity over resentment as a crueler movement. She may warn Orhan of a danger others missed because she still understands his word immediately, or she may comfort the people, the women, or the families of soldiers, showing that her strength is not limited to romance. Her dignity becomes service, her plan become wisdom. As Porca can play a role connected to diplomacy or hidden knowledge because of her background and political position. She may understand the enemy's strategy in a way others do not. She may reveal a plot, challenges a false alliances, or make a choice that proves where her loyalty truly stands. This gives her character purpose beyond palace tension. If the audience it means to accept her place in Orhan world, she must earn it through action, not only through title. Orhan Houghton's should carry one of the emotional final scenes. She is the living connection between the old fire and the new dawn. She may watch Orhan preparing for the final confrontation and see Osman in him, but also something different. This difference should not frighten her, it should make her understand that time has moved. A mother who loses the past through her husband and watches the future through her son carries a special kind of pain. Her final blessing should feel like the blessing of entire generation before the final battle of final political confrontation. Orhan should gather his people. This speech must be different from Osman's speeches. This is why important. Orhan should not sound like an imitation. His words should carry his own style. Osman's speeches often burden like fire. Orhan speeches could feel like steel after fire, controlled, sharp and heavy. He should speak not only for conquestants of border, not only of courage but of justice, not only for enemies but the people who must live after the world, and he could turn the state is not burned, only weak flag is raised, but when the weak know they will not be abandoned, he could say that their enemies believe Osman dream ended with Osman. But they will now learn that some dreams do not die with one man because they are planted in a nation hurt. He could remind them that they are not fighting to satisfy pride but to protect the road their father opened and their children will walk. This would make the final confrontation emotional rather than mechanical. The final battle itself should not be only spectral, it not reflect Orhan's growth. Earlier he may have rushed into danger to prove himself. In the final he should fight with patience, strategy and command. He should allow others to fulfill their roles. He should trust Aladdin planning the ops, loyalty, the woman earning and the people resilience. This showed that the has stopped carrying everything alone. a ruler is not great because he does everything himself. He is great because he built a world where others can stand with purpose. During the conflict, the enemy should attempt one final physiological attack. Perhaps he says Osman is gone, the people are afraid, the palace is divided, and Orhan's name will be forgotten. This gives Orhan the chance to answer not with rain but with certainty. His answer should show that they finally crossed the bridge. He no longer needs to shout that he is Osman's son. He knows who he is. He can say in spirit that begin Osman's son was his beginning, but carrying the state in his choice. That would be a powerful emotional turning point. The victory should come with cost. A final without cost can feel shallow. Someone may die, a bond may break, a dream may change shape. For Orhan, they have to sacrifice personal desire forever. The audience should feel both forever pride and sadness. This mix is essential for historical drama. If everything become happy, the way despair. If everything become tragic, hope, despair. The best ending carries both. The viewers should carry and feel proud at the same time. After the victory, the story should slow down. This is important. Many finals makes the mistake of ending immediately after the battle, but the audience need emotional breathing space. The need to see what the victory means. The need to see the people save the palace. Quieter the brothers standing together, the women carrying their mounts with dignity, and Orhan looking at the land with a changed expression. The final moment should not be crowded. They should feel clean, strong, and memorable. Orhan's final image should be carefully chosen. He should not look like a boy who won a fight. He should look like a ruler who has accepted a lifetime of burden. Perhaps he stands at dawn watching the flag move in the wind. Perhaps he enters the council and sits not with hesitation but with calm authority. Perhaps he visits Osman's restless place and does not ask for strength anymore because he has found he simply promises that he that truly will continue. This would be a beautiful way to close his emotional arc. The final narration or closing thought could say that some men inherit land, some inherit gold, and some inherit a dream so heavy that it either crushes them or makes them immoral. Orhan inherited the heaviest dream of all. He inherited a state young, thought to bleed, but strong enough to rise. And in the moment when enemies expected weakness, he chose responsibilities. That he is our son become more than a son. That is how a name become a pillar. That is how the road for Usman to Orhan continued. The ending should not pretend that all future struggles are finished. History does not work that way, but it should make the audience face that the state has survived its most dangerous transition. The foundation has not collapsed, the banner has not fallen, the son has not failed the father. That is the emotional promise for the final must deliver. If this is truly the final road for Krulus Orhan, then the series must leave fans with one strong feeling. The story may ending on screen, but the historical journey is still moving forward. Atul courage became Usman Foundation. Usman Foundation became Orhan responsibility. Orhan responsibility become the bridge to a great future. This is the chain the audience has followed for years. Completing is with honor, with full unforgettable, and this is why the final episode matters so much. It is not only about ratings, reports, or production decision. It is about emotional trust. Fan gave ear to the universe. They watches generation rise and fall. They deserve an ending that understand what this story meant to them. They deserve a final where Orhan does not disappear as an unfinished character but stands as a ruler whose journey, even if short, carries purpose. So the road to the final episode should be written with courage. No unnecessary repetition, no empty scenes, no big closure. Every character must move, heal, or become part of the character final strength. If Krulus or Han does this even an early final can leave a strong marker. It can disappointment into respect. It can turn a short season into a complete chapter. The final question is simple but powerful. When the last scene arrives, will viewers feel that Oran Bay story was taken away too soon, or will feel that they feel the stood all enough to make the short journey meaningful? That answer now depends on the final episode. If the writers understand the emotional weight of this legacy, the Krulus or Han can still can and not with. They can finally become worthy of the dream placed in his hand. The state learned to breathe without Osman. The most painful truth is Krulus or Han is that a state does not stop giving just because the throne cannot remain empty. People may gather in the council, soldiers may still sharpen their sword, the horses may still be prepared before dawn, and the banner may still love more in the wind there, but beneath all of that moment there is wound that has not yet closed. Osman Bey's absence is not only the absence of one man, it is the absence of a voice that once decided the direction of everyone's life. It is the absence of a shadow under which many people felt protected. It is the absence of the leader whose anger frightening enemies and whose silence gave courage to friends. Now that silence belongs to Orhan Bey, and the real question is whether he knows how to feel it. In the beginning of this new phase, Orhan should not be shown as fully comfortable with power. That would be false and emotionally weak. A man has inherited become calm. He may stand strength in front of the people, but inside the should still feel the pressure of invisible eyes. Their time to sit there. Usman once said the palace itself become a test every time someone call him Bey with full respect. He must wonder whether the respect belonged to him or his different memory. This is the hidden pain of inheritance. This title comes quickly, but belonging to that title takes time. This is why Krulus or Han final moment should begin with atmosphere but not action. The tribe should feel change. The corridors should feel wider because Osman is no longer walking through them. The council should feel heavier because everyone knows that a different age has started. Even the old Abs should look at Orhan with a mixture of loyalty and worry. They may love him, they may protect him, but deep inside they are asking the same question the audience is asking: can this young ruler carry the storm this his father once carried? Orhan Bey must sense the double. He must not be blind to it. A weak script would make him angry, and angry would hesitate. A stronger script would make him understand why he hesitated. These men did not doubt because they were traitors, they doubted because that they seen too much blood. They had survived years of war, betrayal, hunger, loss, and uncontainedly. They have watched Usman turn impossible dream into living reality. Now the fear that one wrong step could undo everything. Their doubt is not insult, it is fear wearing the face of caution. This is where Osman majority must begin. If the tries of silence fear by force, he becomes smaller. If he listens to fear and turn it into discipline, he becomes larger. The difference between a young warrior and a true ruler is not bravery, both can be brave. The difference is patience. A young warrior sees doubt as disrespect, a ruler sees doubt as information. Orhan must learn that the people fear is not his enemy, it is his responsibilities. The next chapter of the story should show Orhan walking through a world that has not yet accepted the new right thing. People still speak of Osman in the present tense. If he may enter any moment, women still honor their voice and his mentioned children. They repeat stories about him. If the choose those stories and protection against the dark, old soldiers still remember how they look before battle. Every memory is beautiful, but every memory also become a weight on Orhan's shoulders. He cannot raise Orhan's greatness, and he should not want to. But he must stop living as a man made only by another man legend. One of the strongest scenes in this section would be Orhan visiting the palace where Osman used to stand before their great decision. His arrive alone without ceremony, without music of victory, without a crowd. He touches to wood of the council table or looks toward the horizon from the same place his father same looked. For a moment he is not Bey, he is only a son. The private moment matter because leaders are rarely allowed to be human in public. If the audience sees Orhan lines here, they will understand his later strategy more deeply. Is that silence Orhan may remember not Orhan Orhan victories but also his pain. It is important. Sons often inherit the shining version of their father, but they must also understand the wound. Osman was not great because life was easy for him. He was great because he carries betrayal, grief, danger, and responsibility without allowing them to destroy his purpose. When Orhan understands that greatness was not comfort but endurance, he can stop fearing the comparison. He can realize that being like Osman does not mean having the same voice of the same style. It means carrying hardship without surrender. The enemies understand this transition better than everyone. They know that a state is most invariable when it's found. It's gone as the successor is still begins tested. The enemy does not need to defeat to the entire army immediately. He only need to convince people that the new ruler is uncertain. One doubt spread, alliances became weak. Once alliances weaken, enemies become old. Once enemies become bold, even loyal people begin preparing for loss. This is how states are damaged before the first sword is drawn. This is the final enemy campaign should begin. The rumors not a direct attack but Whisper that Orhan is too young. Whisper that palace matter have distracted him. Whisper that his brother, his vizier, whisper that the owner around him are dividing the house. Whisper that Osman era ended with Osman. These rumors should move through market border villages. Merchants should thus enemy caught a sword cut flesh, but a rumor cut trust. Orhan first great battle must be against that invisible poison. He cannot answer every rumor with punishment. If he does, he appears afraid. He must answer with action so clear that rumor become weak. This is where a major test should come. Prepares border villages attacked not because the enemy want the village but because the enemy want to see how quickly Orhan responds. Perhaps a group for traders is captured to provoke anger. Perhaps a loyal Bey is falsely accused of betrayal. Whatever the situation, Orhan must act with intelligence, not emotions. He must show that the sea is the trap because before stepping into it, the kind of sense would help the audience since his growth earlier. Orhan may have wanted to prove himself through speed and fire. Now he must prove himself through control. A ruler who reacts too quickly can be led by his enemies. A ruler can wait too longer, can lose his people. This art of the leadership is knocking the moment when patience becomes weakness and action becomes necessary. Orhan must find that moment. Aladdin Bey can become very important here. He may advise caution when Orhan wants immediate movement. Orhan may feel that caution looks like fear, but Aladdin can explain that strategy is not cowardice. Strategy is the protection of strength. This brother tension should be respectful but intense. The audience should feel that both brothers are right from different angles. Orhan understand the emotional need to show strength. Aladdin understand the structure need to avoid being manipulated. Their argument should not divide them, it should sharp them. This is how Osman's legacy can be honored properly. Osman did not build a future of his sons so that they would become a rival is weakened. He built it so that their strengths could serve one purpose. Orhan has the fire of commands. Aladdin has the discipline of thought. When these two forces fight each other, the state trembles. When they stand together, the state becomes harder to break. The final episode should make this brotherhood feel like one of the pillars of the new age. The palace must also feel the effect of these rumors. Nilufar heard that people are speaking about the sadness as Porka. Here the people are conquesting her. Mohan hears the old enemies are using the private pain of the family to test the public strength of the state. This is when the women of the palace should stop being written only through emotional conflict and start being shown and guardians of stability. They understand that if they allow their pain to become visible disorder, enemies will use it. That does not mean pride must pretend to be happy. It means they must become stronger than those who are watching them. Nilufer's strength in this past should be quiet but unforgettable. She may still be wounded by Orhan's decision, but she must allow her wound to become a weapon in enemy hand. There is dignity in this. She may look at Orhan from a distance and understand that her pain does not disappear, but it changes shape. It becomes something sharper, something calmer. She no longer asks only, "Why did that happen to me?" She began to ask, "What must I become now that it has happened?" That question gave Nilufer power. A character become memorable where pain transformed her instead. When pain transforms her instead of only repeating around her, Nilufer can become the emotional consequence of the palace. She may speak to the woman, calm fear, protect the innocence, or warm Orhan when he is about to become too hard. She does not need to hold a sword affect history in a world where ruler can become consumed by war. Someone who protects that human heart become necessary. As Porka's position is more complicated, she may feel that no matter what she does, may still she her a foreign dangers or responsible for division. This that kind of suspicion can make a person bitter, but it can also make her sharper. If Porka is written well, she should understand the political game faster than others. She knows how courts speak through silence. She knows how outsiders are judged. She knows that smile can hidden knife. Her value of her own world should some from the awareness she can organize threat that people raised inside the tribal may miss. A powerful scene could show as Porka warning Orhan about a diplomatic message that appears friendly but carries hidden insult. Others may see it as a normal offer, but she understands the language of course. She tells Orhan that his enemy is to not offering peace, he is marrying weakness. This would give her purpose beyond romance. It would show that her presence, however painful for some, also breeds knowledge. The state now needs Molhan Hond must stand as the center of the emotional balance. She has seen what happened. She family pain become political weakness. She lived through a time when every internal would even very internal would come become an enemy. Disadvantages. His wisdom should be firm, not soft. She may tell Orhan that grief is allowed in the heart but not allowed to rule the hand. She may tell Nilufer that dignity is sometimes the one victory history gives women. She may tell Asporka that entering this family means carrying the instead as well as it leaving Molhan. Words should feel like they come from someone who has paid for every lesson with blood. This part of script should build toward Orhan for major public act and undisposed reader, not necessary the final battle but a defining decision. The people must see something from him that cannot explain away as inheritance. Perhaps he saves our village by choosing an unexpected route. Perhaps he exposes our traitor without creating panic. Perhaps he refuses an enemy bait and turns the trap against them. Whatever the act is, it should show the people that Orhan is not merely reacting to Osman's absence. He is thinking, deciding, the leading after his act. There would be a visible shift, not complete acceptance, but the beginning of trust. And old up who won't doubt him. Law is dead. His with new respect. Our village may say that Osman's truth was not immiscible. A child may look at Orhan not as Osman should son as the Osman Bey. These small reactions are more powerful than 100 speeches. Then truth is not born at one moment, but it can begin in one, yet the story should not become easy. After that, in fact, Orhan's first success should make the enemies more dangerous. They now understand that he is not as weak as they hoped. This means the truly must strike deeper. If rumor does not break him, they will target loyalty. If loyalty does not break him, they will target family. If family does not break him, they will target the future itself. The final arc must escalate naturally every time Orhan proved time himself. The enemy changed tactic, the creators, the feeling that the final episode is approaching with real force. The audience should feel that Orhan is climbing, but the mountain is becoming stepper. He wins trust, then faces betrayal. He gains clarity, then faces emotional sacrifice. He strengthens the palace, then faces an enemy who understands the palace hidden wound. This kind of progression keeps the story alive and prevents repetition. The end of this part should level viewers with a strong emotional image. Orhan stands before the people after his first defining victory. He does not smile like a man enjoying praise. He looks serious because he now understands something deeper. Winning trust is harder than winning battle, and losing it is easier than losing hand. He sees the faces in front of him and realizes they are not asking him to be Osman, they are asking him to protect tomorrow. This is when his burden changes. It becomes less about proving it him blood and more about honoring his duty. This is the moment of the state begin is to breathe without Osman, not because Osman is forgotten, but because his dream has found moment in another heart. The grief remains but is no longer freezes everyone in palace. The people still remember the founder, but now they begin to follow the successor, and Orhan, who once felt crushed but by the shadow behind him, began to understand that a shadow only exists where there is light. Osman's shadow is not there to hide him. Is it there to prove that light once stood there, and on Orhan must decide whether he will become light or for those who come after him. The enemy inside the wall. As Kurulus Orhan moved deeper into its final journey, the danger must become more personal. It is not enough for enemies to stand outside the gate and shout threat from a distance. That kind of danger, invisible and visible danger, can be prepared for. The truly frightening enemy is the one who enters the story quietly, who speaks the language of loyalty, who knows the name of the people inside the palace, who understands the cracks between brother, wives, mother, commanders, and Bey. The next greater to Orhan Bey should not only come for foreign castles or battlefield camps, it should come from inside the wall. Every young state carries this danger. Even power changes hand, all loyalties are tested. Some people remain loyal to the dream, some remain loyal only to the man who first gave the position. Some pretend to serve the ruler while secretly waiting to see if he will fail. Others believe they are protecting the state by controlling the new leader. These people are not always obvious villains. Some may even think they are doing the right thing. That make them are more dangerous because their betrayal wear the cloth of wisdom. Orhan Bey's next test should be the discovery that not every person near him wants him to become strong. She prefer him uncontained, some prefer him independent, some prefer the palace divides because division gives them influence. A young ruler surrounded by stronger personalities can easily become a symbol while others make decisions in his name. This is why Orhan must have not only to keep the throne but to own his authority fully. If he does not, he may remain way in title while others rule through his hesitation. This is a power direction for the story because it reflects a real truth about leadership. Enemies outside want to destroy you, enemies inside want to use you. The first kind attack your land, the second attack your will. Orhan must learn the difference quickly. A direct enemy may be easier to face because his hatred is honest, but a hidden enemy smiles, advice, paralyzes, and slowly ties knocked around the ruler's hand. By the time the ruler realizes what has happened, his own decision no longer belong to him. The script should show this danger through stubble sends a council member who always agree too quickly, messages who arrive at strange time, a bay who publicly praise Orhan but private question him, a servant who carries palace world to the wrong arise, a commander who delay order just enough to create failure. None of these things should appear too obvious at first. The audience should feel something is wrong before the character fully understand it. That tension makes the story more gripping. Aladdin may be the first to notice the pattern because he thinks structurally. He may see that survival small problems are connected, are delayed supply, not a rumor spreading too quickly, and enemy appearing to know Orhan plans a political disagree reaches the market before the council has even ended. These are not coincidence, they are systematic. Aladdin can warn Orhan that someone is not merely betrayal information, someone is shaping perception. Orhan's first reaction may be anger, that would be natural after all the pressure he has faced. Betrayal from within would feel like a wound deeper than an enemy attack. But anger alone will not solve this. If he accuses too quickly, he may divide his own people and will people and help the traitor. If he wait too long, the damage grows. This creates a tense leadership dilemma. He must catch a hidden enemy without making loyal people feel suspected. That is extremely difficult, and it is exactly the kind of test that can prove his maturity. Mulhan Hunt can advise him from experience. She may tell him that betrayal has a smell, but a ruler cannot push a smell. He needs proof. She may remind him that Osman also faced those who smiled in the tent and sharpened knives in secret, but she should not simply give him the answer. He should push him to think like a ruler. A mother can guide, but she cannot rule for him. This balance keeps Orhan growth active. Nilufar can become unexpectedly important in uncovering the hidden threat because people underestimate emotional character. They often speak carelessly around them. Nilufar may hear something, notice a strange change in behavior, or understand that a rumor about the palace could only have come from someone close. Her sensitivity from becomes intelligence. This is a good way to strengthen her role without forcing her into unnatural action. She noticed what warriors miss because warriors are trained to watch sword, not silence. As Porca too can contribute from a different angle. She may understand political manipulation better than many other in Byzantine court. Information is power, and betrayal often move through soft voice. She may recognize that the hidden enemy is not simply leaking secret but trying to create emotional reaction. Perhaps the goal is to make Orhan push the wrong person, causing division. Perhaps the goal too is to push Nilufar and Asporka into public conflict. Perhaps the goal is to make Aladdin appear more suitable for leadership. Asporka can warn that the trap is designed not to kill Orhan's body but to damage his judgment. This would allow the two women, Nilüfer and Sporka, to stand on the same side without pretending their personal pain has vanished. They do not need to become close friends suddenly. That would feel false. But they can both understand that is the palace fall into manipulations. Everyone lose. Nilüfer may act from emotional loyalty, Sporka may act from political survival. Their reasons differ, but their direction become the same. This creates layered the drama instead of simple rivalry. This hidden enemy should then make a bold move. Perhaps he is trained anger for a message to be discovered that flawlessly incomplete one of Orhan loyal men. The council become divided. Some damage immediate punishment, other argue caution. The accused man feels reassured. His spot grow angry. The enemy watch from the shadow, hoping Orhan will choose speed over justice. This is the perfect trap. If Orhan pushes too quickly, he loses all loyal supporters and spread fear. If he delayed too long, people see he is weak. The ruler is caught between justice and authority. This is where Orhan must show his new strength. He should not shout, he should not panic, he should take control of the room with calm, forces calmness in a moment of choice. In one of the clear signs of leadership, he can order that no more be punished without full proof, but also command that no one leave until the truth begins to show itself. He can separate emotion from procedure. He can question not only who held the message but who beneath. From the discovery, this show that he is learning to think beyond the surface. Aladdin may spot him by following the chain of information. Who carried the letter? Who saw it first? Why was it found at that exact moment? Why did the enemy outside move shortly after the council argument began? Slowly the trap beginning it revealed itself. The audience should feel satisfaction not from a sudden miracle but from intelligence. Orhan could begin to function as a state, not just a rapper camp. This is important for the theme of Orhan era. The traitor once exposed should not be a random mirror character with no emotional weight that would weaken the impact. The traitor should be someone close enough to hurt, perhaps an older babe who loved Osman but never trusted Orhan, perhaps a commander will believe the state needed a strong hand and thought manipulating Orhan was justified, perhaps someone connected to enemy political throne, fear or greed. The betrayal must reveal a larger truth. Not everyone who served the past knows how to accept the future. This is a painful but mature idea. Some people can be loyal to a dead leader and still harmful to the living mission. They present the memory but resist the transformation. Such a person may say, I served your father, as if that should excuse betrayal. Orhan's answer must be powerful. He can say that serving Osman was an honor, but using Osman's name to weak his state is betrayal of that every dream Osman built. This kind of line would mark Orhan's emotional independence. The punishment should be just but not cruel. Orhan must not become bloody surety to prove strength. His justice should be firm enough to end doubt, but mature enough to shadow. He is not ruled by anger. If the traitors caused death, the punishment must be served. If the betrayal came from fear and manipulation, perhaps exile or public disagree could be used. The key is that Orhan's decision should feel like law. Revenge, the destination is survival. Revenge belongs to wounded pride. Law belongs to rules. After the traitor, it dealt with. The palace should feel shaken. Betrayal from within leaves behind more than one punishment. It leaves suspicions, people being looking at each other differently. Trust has been damaged. Orhan must now repair the atmosphere. This is where he should speak not only to council but the entire inner circle. He must